I get called back to it all the time. I recall it every day. I have to recall everything, or else I'm in trouble. If I just recall some of the stuff, I'm in trouble.
You know what, like even now, like thinking about it, it was just exciting to have a full pipe of crystal. Like it was just like, woo! I just had all this stuff like waiting for me to do. And the thing was, I just didn't know when to stop. Like I would just keep doing it until my brain was just like fried. Like I'd literally like load my pipe and set it aside like I was all ready to get high, you know, again. And I would forget that it was there, and like 3 hours later I'd look over and there it was untouched, and I'd be like, oh shit, I could have been high, you know. I was already high, but you know.
On a consistent basis, I've been using it for a year.
For 7 years. For 2.5 years.
3.5, 15,
30, 6 to 8 years.
Going 3 years now.
The last time I used was April of last year. It's been 1 year.
It's been a year.
4 years.
A few days ago.
10 minutes ago.
I remember the first moment I did meth really clearly.
Like a lot of people, I just started snorting it because I thought it was like Coke.
We were at this sort of Sunday afternoon hoedown.
I had been working at a nightclub called Ground Zero.
First I started snorting it.
Snorting.
I snorted it.
Snorting.
Snorted it. It was in the fall, I remember, because it was cold. It's about 2:30 in the morning. I'm about 90 sheets to the wind.
Just do a little bit, it'll carry you through the night.
Went down Old Country Road and turned the dome lights on.
We left the party and went around the corner behind a wooden fence.
Actually, I thought it was Coke the first time.
My first reaction was, Jesus Christ, because it just burnt and hurt.
Really, really bad. I thought I was gonna cry.
And I'm like, what the hell's with this Coke? And he said, it's not Coke, it's Tina. And I'm like, well, what's with Tina's Coke?
And then I started smoking it.
Smoked it.
Smoking.
I smoked it. I smoked a lot.
Smoke. Then my dick went limp. And I thought, oh, this is fun.
Then I quickly started shooting it.
I slammed it. Slammer. And he's like, give me your arm, and showed me exactly how to do it.
And then it hit.
And I could feel my pupils just go.
Everything became clear.
It was like 20 sparklers were going off in my head all at once.
Instant. On top of the world.
Ooh, I like this. I could really get to like this.
I was fucking married.
Did booty bumps, did regular bumps.
Booty bumped it.
Hot rail.
We would do hot rails, which would just fuck me up.
I ate it.
Mixed it with Crisco.
Put it in coffee.
Whatever it took.
It's kind of like Spam. It tastes different in every form.
There was nothing else that I've ever done that ever charged me up like crystal. Nothing.
I felt invincible. I felt super attractive. I felt magnetic.
And he proceeded to warn me that my libido was going to be kicked into overdrive. And the first thing he did is he took my hand and he just went, and that was an instant connection. Sexually, yeah, it was unleashing the caged beast.
I think it was sex as it's supposed to be.
It triggered so much stuff in me, the confidence and the ego.
And that's what was so attractive about it, because I was able to shed all of that anxiety.
You were alive. You were neon. You were nuclear.
I was the person that I knew I always could be.
The first thing that really jumped out at me was whatever unwanted weight you're carrying suddenly disappears. Or we used to call it the Tina diet. A grapefruit for breakfast, a salad for lunch, and a sensible bump for dinner. Lo and behold, I was suddenly down to 154 pounds. Whew, Freudian slip there.
The high was so good that the pain that I was feeling because of disconnect from my family, from disconnect from society, from not knowing where I fit, it allowed me to escape from it. Something told me that, I don't know why, I didn't think I was gonna have a problem with it. And for a long period, the first 6 months that I was using it, I had it under control.
So once that door was open, it blew off the hinges. There was no door. Because once you hand control over to Tina, she's got the steering wheel. You ain't gonna drive. There's no way.
My name is Andrew McGregor. I'm 33 years old. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and I am an entrepreneur / drug dealer. Very busy one at that. Excuse me. Hello. It's crack. We call it crack out here. It's just as a joke because it's so pathetic that we call it crack. It's glass. It's meth. It's just dope. It's money. It's trouble. It's the devil, basically. Why do I get high? That you ask me? Yeah. Because it's an escape. I mean, you really just can block out everything with it. I mean, I can block out anything with it. You get high and you think about getting laid or whatever, or think about whatever else you're doing, and you can focus on something else and completely entirely forget about the real world and what's going on. And it's to the point where I can't even get like that on crack anymore, or on shit anymore. It doesn't happen like that for me. I can't get that high where I can forget about shit. I still think about stuff, and it annoys me because now I'm high and I'm irritated because I'm still thinking about, you know what I mean? I don't specifically see one thing that I'm avoiding. I don't have any giant skeletons in my closet that I'm escaping from. It's not like that. If you would have asked me this stuff like before I started using stuff, would you be willing to do? Would you be willing to lose your house and your new BMW and your dog and all these things that I lost? If they asked me that beforehand, I'd be like, you're fucking crazy. There's no way in hell. No way in hell. Come on, Phil. You think I get pissed off at this shit enough to say, fuck it, that's it. I'm over and done with it. But it just has a way of continuing to lure you back in for some reason or another. I don't know why, but it just does. It's pretty fucked up.
I see which one was hurting.
Shut up, fool.
Norman.
Don't move. See ya.
And I'll see you in a few minutes.
Here. Strong enough?
Huh?
Strong enough?
You probably missed.
Shut up. How can I do your normal routine? Well, and the rest of the drama that goes along with it. Damn, I knew it was an act. There we go. Yeah?
Creeper.
Is it? Cool. I don't know what I'm running from so fast. I don't know what it is. But obviously something. I mean, there's something there, Exciting, huh?
I was your average disaffected gay man. I had self-esteem issues. Growing up in a very middle-class environment, I always thought that if I made something of myself and had lots of money and the material toys and possessions, it was going to suddenly validate me. Ironically, it was 10 years ago this year that I got it was the first year I had a 6-figure job. Got the BMW. Met the guy I was involved with for 4.5 years. Never enough. Nothing was ever gonna be enough. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't smart enough. I didn't do well in school enough. There was always someone bigger, better, faster, more, better. And, until I could have my 15 minutes of fame in the sun, I wasn't gonna be anybody. Or so I thought.
Give your love.
I was a DJ when circuit parties weren't called circuit parties, when parties were made to raise money for AIDS. Remember when that was the concept?
Give your love.
in San Francisco in the early 90s, and people can't go to the bathhouses anymore, but people are looking for a way that they can rock out and strut their stuff. And there was something new that was emerging, the circuit scene.
We wanted our sexuality back, and oh boy, we got it back. We got it back with a vengeance. And in that environment, crystal meth was allowed to kind of blossom.
Hey DJ.
The fear of not fitting in was gone. The fear of not being hot enough was gone. I was suddenly playing with A-listers, doing A-listy things, going to circuit parties, hanging with the cool kids.
Hey DJ. Do it one more time.
Initially, I think people went to the circuit scene because it brought them together, and there was this feeling of togetherness and openness, and you went out and you danced with your shirt off.
You gotta be sure of yourself, you gotta be confident, you know what I mean? I would have never, ever, ever stepped foot in anything like that without Crystal. It's a blast.
I had a couple of years where I was hitting all the parties. Lots of steroids, lots of going to the gym, lots of eating a lot, because you had to put on those 5 or 10 pounds that you were gonna wear off when you started binging doing crystal. You wanted to look good while you were doing your crack.
A couple of bumps and a hit of X and water all night.
You'd see people that had a drink in their hand, and you were automatically like, oh, a drinker, you know, what a mess. Like, you didn't want anything to do with the drinker, because they were just gonna, like, you know, if you got home with them, they were just gonna, like, pass out on you or something anyway. They couldn't keep going like we could. And it was like, at that point, people that were doing X were almost looked down on. It was like, oh, they're doing X, like, you know. It was just really stupid. It was like, you know, if you weren't doing crystal, you weren't in the know. You weren't in.
The relationships at these events are episodic. You know, you spend 3 days and you go to the first night and the first event, and you meet people from another place, and they're really hot, and hopefully by the third night you'll get to have sex with them. But until then, you bond, and they're the greatest friends you've ever met. And
You don't even know where they're from half the time, but you're sleeping with their boyfriends. That's fantastic.
there were enough fun times to make me think it was okay. You know, that I was maintaining, that I was doing fine. And made me feel I had arrived. I remember Hotlanta, one of the circuit parties, dancing on a box, and thinking to myself, I'm it, just it. I'm dancing on a box at Hotlanta, you know, and I've got my crystal going, and the high is just right, and bing, 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 bing. You know, it's just the smoke and the dancing and the
Crystal's always the base. Always the base. And then you just accessorize, like a pair of pearls or something, you know? You add a little bit of G in there, maybe a little bit of ecstasy, you know? But you always get a good solid base with your speed. The GHB is just a humongous problem, especially for the lightweights. Those were always, you always knew the kids that were just weekend warriors, or you see them dropping left and right, you know, or...
I was standing in the middle of the dance floor, and I didn't wear any underwear that night, and I just remember the next thing, my pants were down to my ankles, and my friends were like trying to pull my pants back up. I had basically blacked out, and I was just like taking my clothes off in the middle of the dance floor.
I've actually been to circuit parties where they actually had like stations set up at the party for G overdoses. What? I've watched them carry people out on stretchers, dead. You know, and the party goes on. Don't fall out on my space to dance. God, no. But if you do, I'm gonna check your pockets. You know what I mean? It's so twisted.
Give your love.
It was a lot of fun. But I think even at that point, it was, you know, I wasn't making friends. I wasn't making real connections. It was about going out, dancing, strutting around, looking good, and getting laid.
It'll take you down so fast. That thing will take you down so fast. And you know, and here's the sick part about it all. Here's the sick part. I miss it. I miss it.
Our culture tells us, you know, you can be hot. You know, we'll do a queer makeover on you and you're going to be hot and you're going to have the body and you can be HIV positive and be hot and you can be on crystal and still have time to do your steroids and be hot. And, you know, I need to be a little less hot and a little more, and I got my wish, and a little more, you know, focused and, you know, sane.
Oh, who wouldn't want to be rich, fabulous, young and high? I mean, that seems to be all we know as a culture, how to crave and how to sell back. You know, show me a happy, well-adjusted, middle-aged homosexual, and I'll show you no one that gets any media coverage in out or advocate. You know, they're either dead or they don't exist.
I don't buy the fact that only hot people do crystal, or that it's somehow some sort of byproduct of going to the gym. Crystal welcomes gay men of all shapes and sizes, and God knows I've been at sex parties with them, and didn't bother me a bit. So there are lots of routes to crystal meth. There's lots of them, and the dance floor is only one of them. Being online, just meeting a guy at a bar. I know plenty of guys that I was very involved, very heavy drug users who have never been to a circuit party. That's just not the route that they took. Lesson 1 about crystal, it's all about sex. Or at least you think it's about sex. It's really just about cocks and holes, as I call it.
You know, in bookstores, you had the people watching over you. And so you were always like trying not to look like you were cruising or whatever. But yeah, I did the bookstores and the alleys in the back of the bookstores and stuff. I became very well known in the bathhouse, I think. I was there a lot. There was a time when I was there like 4 days a week, you know, and basically I guess I would trade sex for it.
If you haven't completely destroyed your body yet, and you have some sort of, you know, cachet with your body, you can get all the crystal you want. Unfortunately, it's kind of diminishing returns. You know, I discovered after a while that I was sinking lower and lower to get those drugs. I don't know what came first. I'll tell you this, I don't know what for me came first. I wasn't a sexual madman before. I mean, you know, I had my share. I did stuff. I was in an open relationship. I went to sex clubs, you know, but that was something that you did every once in a while. You know, more than you would admit to your friends, probably, but you did it. But it wasn't a lot. The crystal just fueled it. It was gasoline on it.
I think prior to even having this addiction, there's always been a sexual addiction growing. Crystal, I think, kind of just opened the door. I've always had, you know, the feelings of wanting kind of more or something different. And a lot of people would just consider that fantasy. My fantasies turned to reality pretty quickly because of this drug.
Sex on meth was probably the most amazing thing I had felt. You could really focus on doing one thing with somebody for a long time. You're just driven so much by crystal to have sex that it's just like, you know, this is the ultimate. It took quite a while to orgasm, but when you did, it was like, it was really difficult. It was like work, but when it actually happened, it was the most intense feeling you'd ever felt. You almost felt like you were gonna die.
It was very animalistic, relentless. It's never ending.
Get high, you know, find boys, get higher, find more boys, playing, you know, bareback porn the home game. I would create it in my head to be everything that it was supposed to be.
So that connection has been made that sex on speed is double the pleasure now. And the brain remembers that. You know, you're chasing that double high, so you got to get high first and then hook up with somebody else who's high and just party the night away or party the weekend away or party the next week together away.
You're not necessarily having better sex, and I can say that now that I've got some clean time under my belt, but you're just having a lot of it. You know, it's a full-time job.
If everyone could, I think, feel that pleasure, that intense pleasure, I think more people would be having sex. The guilt associated, there's so much guilt associated with sex, it just gets rid of that. I don't think badly of myself, but I also realize that I probably don't turn the necks of near as 20-year-old guys as they turn my neck. But yet through this underground connection, they're there every night, and it kind of gives you gives your ego a shot, especially when a 20-year-old guy that comes in with a drop-dead gorgeous body, he's there for no other reason than for you two to enjoy each other, and what's bringing you together is this drug. But I also know that the day I quit this drug, if they don't bury me that day, that I'll never be in that situation again.
Do you know anyone who's ever completely 100% honest about how much they use? Everyone always tries to minimize the impact it's having on their life.
Sketchy. Yeah, it's just this whole ADD thing that you have going on where you just can't get out of the house because you have one more thing to do and then you can't find the phone and then where are the keys? Then you get in the car and hit something and why is this happening to me and life sucks and
I don't think it's that fucked up to you, really.
Well, it's hard to see because I can't.
I knew that life was suddenly getting really complicated and hard.
Things are really complicated right now. There's a lot of things that require things to be done before they can be accomplished. But I really want you to understand though how complicated things are. I'm a good person too. I don't understand why all this crap happens to me.
You know, things kept happening to me. Why do these things keep happening to you? Well, because you're doing drugs every day.
So I got robbed. I got robbed again. My cars are getting towed. No person I know of could handle the shit that gets thrown on me every single day of my life.
I didn't want to admit that I was a drug addict.
I can't handle much more of this crap. I can't handle it. It's not just, it has very little to do with the dope, if you notice this. I mean, I'm sure it's kind of linked somehow along the way, but in reality, it's like, it's just shit. I keep getting shit on over and over and over again, and I don't know why.
A house where there wasn't clothes in the closet. There were clothes in a pile on the floor. Everything was sticky or greasy. There was porno playing. No matter what. No matter if you're having breakfast or vacuuming, there's porno playing. The computer is on. You are constantly smoking from the pipe because that's just the way life is. You just smoke from your pipe all day. You save shooting up for special, for the evening time. I try to save it for special occasions like night. The days were about finding a sex party where there were drugs.
I'm supposed to meet somebody, so I really don't know a whole lot about him. He's cute. He gets high, he slams. It's fun. I mean, it's a little break from all this serious, non-stop, perpetual crap that I go through every day. And it's a break in my day. That's what it is. Oh, you're making me crazy.
And then it was really more about the drugs. Then you would get there to the sex party, and have a cast of characters in the room that were, perfectly serviceable to go have sex with. But then there was the pipe, or there was the needle, and then it was all about that. And then, you leave 4 hours later and realize, I don't think I had sex with anybody when I was there. I think it was, but that was a really good porno movie. I gotta get that.
Gay culture and meth right now is much like the African American culture and crack. You have on one hand people saying that it's not everyone, but on the other hand, you know, it's enough that it can no longer be swept under the rug.
The meth film people are here, Mom.
What?
The meth film people are here?
Next film people?
Yeah, them too, but the meth film, the documentary people?
The meth film people. Well, maybe they can understand you better than I can.
No, I'm trying to eat here, lady. What do you want? Listen, Todd wants to know, and I know the answer is no already, but Todd wants to know if you'd be interested in coming down here maybe and getting interviewed with me and whatever. I don't want her involved in all this crap. I don't want her to know about this stuff. And she's gonna know about it if she comes out here, Todd, and I ain't dealing with it. She ain't gonna know about this, first of all. This ain't happening, okay? She ain't gonna know about all this shit because it's gonna break her heart, and that's not what my intention is, and it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Trust me, it's not gonna happen. It serves no purpose at all whatsoever. None. At all. None. None. All it can do is bad shit, and I'm not having it.
I have tried from the time Andrew was 16 to get help. He went into, I actually, I don't know if you even know this. We had an argument one day. I actually threw him out of the house and then reported him as a runaway so that I could get the state to step in and give him some kind of rehabilitation because it isn't available any other way. I have some very strong feelings about Andrew's incarceration or about anybody's incarceration due to drugs. They call it a correctional facility, and I don't know why, because they don't correct anything. This is punitive. There is no rehabilitation. I was very worried about him. I was worried about diseases, obviously. I was worried about rapes. I was worried about beatings, you know, everything any mother would be worried about. And I was just hoping he'd come out the other end, that this would be the life-altering event that would keep him from using meth, because it destroys people. It really does. But when he came out, the offer was there. Get yourself together, get a plan, try to figure out where you want to go, what you want to do with your life. It is your life, it's yours, it's all ahead of you, you know. You don't have anybody looking over your shoulder now. You know, his stepfather and I are there for him, we care about him. I would and have done I have done things for him that I never thought I would do in my life. Anyway, but one of the things that I did do was define my boundaries. Is that when you come out, if you end up back in there, I will not put money on your books. I will not take phone calls. I will not come to visit you. It's heartbreaking for me. So my major fear is that he would go back to using, and that he would just make mistakes. And I would like to believe in my heart, and I do believe that Andrew has been and is recovering. And, you know, I hope I'm not wrong. I really do. I don't think so. And I think as he continues to recover, he will get stronger, and all of the good qualities that are there will just continue to come out. Obviously, I would like to see him healthy. I would love to see him in a committed relationship. I don't want to see him alone. I want him to be happy. I would love for him to get a job that fulfills him. I don't care what his job is, as long as it's legal. You know, I don't care what he could be the fat lady at the circus, I don't care. Just as long as it's something that he's happy doing and he's not going to get arrested for. Other than that, and I would love for him to be clean, you know. Kind of what I think every parent wants for all their kids. Reestablish his faith. Come back to the family. Beyond that, nothing. Just everything. That's all I want is everything.
I feel incredibly guilty about stuff because I've lied to her. It's one of those things where the guilt overrides any kind of good times I'm having with this stuff. You know what I mean? It's not right. You know, it's just not right. I don't deserve her. I really don't. She's an amazing mom. She really is, and I don't deserve the thing that she's done for me at all. She's paid my rent for the past 6 months. You know what I mean? And I haven't even looked for a job. I haven't even gone to look not one time for a job. And I feel like, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck, what a piece of shit I am. That's how I feel, you know? And she goes and buys me a car. My mom didn't buy me a car when I was 16 years old, you know? She buys me a car now, and she tells me it's because, you know, you're drug-free now. Wow, she's buying me a condo too. I don't want to hurt her again, you know what I mean? She so doesn't want me to use, and I had the intentions of not using when I got out, and it just fell through. It'd kill her. I mean, it'd sever any kind of relationship we had. It's just a big motivational factor of why I'm quitting also, because it's just not worth it to me. I'm done. I'm not sort of done. I'm done. I'm not a hypocrite at all. I'm not. And I bitch at people who are all the time. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm done.
HIV and that whole thing came out in like 1984 or whatever, the gay cancer. I knew how you could get this.
Since the advent of protease inhibitors and the fact that, quite honestly, people stopped dropping dead at an alarming rate 8 years ago, I think there's no longer the stigma of HIV. I think that has been sold to us in a don't blame the victim mentality. I think it's also been sold to us by the drug companies. You know, you have fabulous looking buff guys climbing rocks, making it look like, oh, it's just a couple of pills a day, and look at me, I'm fabulous. And, you know, the whole embracing of youth culture, and now the whole personification of male beauty. You have a whole generation of kids coming up that wax their bodies from the time they're 16. I can't see anything good coming out of that.
When I came out, people that were living with HIV were living very healthy, and it wasn't scary anymore.
But we don't know how long these drugs are gonna work and what happens when they stop working. I made it to the age of 25 not knowing anyone personally who had succumbed to the virus. Between the ages of 25 and 30, I had probably close to 40 friends die. And I had just always sort of lived in mortal fear of it.
It was nightmarish and crisis, and a sense of sleepwalking, not believing that this was happening when people started dropping dead in the early 80s. And I certainly thought that I was dead meat. I had every reason to believe that I was. The irony has struck me, obviously, that I would survive that to stick needles in my arm. You know, all those people. And I try to kill myself with drugs.
In the moment, you're somehow conscious of your own self-destructiveness because you're obviously high. And so there's sort of an embracing of all things dangerous and all things bad and all things, you know, wrong and naughty and verboten. There's a perception that bareback porn is hotter porn, and you just want to recreate it, and you're celebrating the hedonism and the self-destruction of it.
I compromised myself in so many areas. I did things that I would never do on, off of crystal.
I never thought about it. I just didn't care. I wasn't gonna do all this crystal and feel what I was feeling and be in a situation with somebody or in a bathhouse or, some situation I thought was just, the hottest thing in the world, like it would just never get any better than this and then worry about a condom. What do I care? What do I care? I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that somewhere in me, I knew I was killing myself anyway. I knew it. I really do. Just didn't have the balls to like blow my brains out, you know?
If I stopped someone and asked them to put on a condom, that it caused a problem.
Just in the hopes of feeling a glimmer of love or affection or connection, you do things that you would never have done before. And sometimes you get in harm's way when you do that.
Eventually, that whole self-preservation and self-worth just, it's gone.
Of course, safe sex is most appropriate, but it doesn't really cross your mind. So, unfortunately.
Not to turn this into a Maury Povich episode of Who My Baby Daddy, but I had hooked up with this guy online. I had just broken up with someone that I'd been seeing for a few weeks.
This guy's like, I've been after this guy for years, and, you know, he's never paid attention to me, and now, you know, we're gonna have sex.
He was a prostitute, although he wasn't a hired prostitute for me. It was somebody that I had met.
Well, I proceeded to hook up with this guy, and, you know, he was a 3-minute hero. I mean, literally, it was in and out the door in 20 minutes.
I let this guy fuck me.
He was getting ready to come and didn't want to shoot his load in me because he was positive and I was negative.
He topped me, and all of a sudden he just stopped and whatever, and he was like done. And I was like, "Well, aren't you gonna come?" And he's like, "I already did."
He kept saying no, and I kept saying yes, and I was pulling him closer, and he was trying to back away from me, and it just happened.
The guy pulls out and says, I need a bump, or where I need a line or something like that.
That was like the first time that had happened, and I was just like...
I actually said, "You are okay, aren't you?" And he's like, "You're asking me this now?"
And he's on the couch, and he's got his face in his hands on the couch, and he's like sobbing.
And he never really disclosed yes or no, which I immediately took as, I'm fucked.
He says, "There's really something I need to tell you." I'm like, "Okay, well, what, you know?" He goes, "Well, I forgot to tell you that I'm HIV positive."
And he just was like, you know, "See you later," you know?
At that moment, it was a conscious choice for me to have that unsafe sexual experience. However, the next morning, I freaked out.
He actually said something that sounds so old wives' tale, from like 1860. "Oh, if you rinse out, I'm sure you'll be fine."
I remember my face got really hot and my stomach got really, like, sick. And this guy is sitting here with a plate full of my drugs in front of him, which is really all he was after to begin with.
I don't know. Crystal kind of makes things okay. And it was just okay.
There was a sense of intimacy in allowing him to come inside me. The drug also sort of takes a person there, or took me there.
What did I do? I got him high for another 2 weeks and lived with him and continued to have sex with him and just did enough speed to stay out of the thought.
And so from that point on, I knew it was, for the first time, gonna likely not be the result I was prepared for.
6 weeks later, I was in an emergency room with a closed, swollen throat, and put on prednisone, and actually told by the ER physician that I was seroconverting.
The next time I got tested was about maybe 4 or 5 months after I had quit. And I came up positive.
And I treated that, in essence, as a license to just self-destruct and go, you know, dive into the deep end of the party and play pool, as it were.
You know, I was infected in '82, before Crystal was around, so I can remain haughtily innocent of this whole thing and just say, well, you know, I was back when we didn't know any better. Well, we know better now, and I was still fucking raw. That's something I gotta live with.
There was this odd sense of relief that I was that all this time using and having sex, unprotected sex, this unknowing, am I, aren't I, am I, aren't. Now I'm at a point where I can't be anything but. So that anxiety was gone, and my life changed. I walked through a door that I can't, go through again.
He's sniffing. Hey, he's sniffing, isn't he? He's sniffing. Hello, little guy. Don't mean to scare you or anything, but you can't. He's just sniffing over here right now. This is the world's cutest dog. And he's gonna be mine, I think. And his name is nothing yet because we don't have one. He's just 4 weeks old. He's just a little baby. He's a little baby. He's a little polar bear. Oh, twinkle, 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 twinkle. I think he loves me. We look alike. Well, I quit for like 30-something days. I just stayed away from it as long as I could, so I was doing it, and I caved. Actually, I drank every day almost that I didn't use one drug. I was high in one way or another, one form, every day. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was doing ecstasy like crazy. I was doing ecstasy like mad. I had a whole shitload of ecstasy, and I was just popping ecstasy like it was going out of style. I'm not one of those people who believes in just giving up everything and being stone cold sober. That's too much of a reality shock for me to handle all that at one time. I can't. There's support systems out there, I guess, but there are 12-step things and stuff that I'm not the kind of person who doesn't want to leave one addiction for another, or you know what I mean, and start moving on like that, or sit there and harp about my addiction for the rest of my life. That's not what I want to do. I've got bigger fish to fry than just sit there and talk about my old past forever. You know what I mean? And so I just assume I'm angry with it, get over it, get done with it, move on, and be over it, instead of having to deal with it every day and go talk about it in meetings and hug each other and all that kind of stuff like that. It's not my thing. But why I keep using it is just beyond me. It's just great. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. If I honestly felt in my heart that it was just I'm addicted or whatever, and that was the answer, or an alcoholic, and that was the answer, I'd be more than happy to throw my cards and say, yeah, that's what it is. But it's not the case. I mean, I know when I'm doing it. I know that I shouldn't be doing it when I'm doing it. I know that what the outcome's going to be and how I'm going to feel. I know all that shit already ahead of time, and I still choose to do it. I don't know why, and it pisses me off because I know better. But if I do some meth, I won't think about it. You know what I mean? And it'll go away, and that's what happens. You can't go on forever like this. You just can't. If you're lucky enough to get blessed to not get infected, and you're being stupid out there and having unprotected sex, you're lucky. You're fucking lucky. I'm so amazingly lucky. I can't even tell you. I mean, by any stretch of imagination, I should be the one who's positive over a lot of people that I know because I've been really promiscuous about a lot of things. I'm not, thank God, and I'm lucky that way. That's it. I think it's the devil. I mean, I really do. I think it's straight evil. There's nothing good about it. Nothing at all is good about it. Nothing. Sex, whatever. Sex is evil. As far as the sex that I'm having, it's evil sex. So straight evil sex. Just stuff I would normally just be like, whatever, dude, get the fuck away from me, kind of stuff. Before you'd be like, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know why it does that, but it has an effect on a lot of people. You know what I mean? Which is kind of fun and stuff, but it's still evil sex. It's nothing. It's not beautiful and loving, and it's fucking hardcore, and that's how it is. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. And so all the beauty and the little, all that stuff that's lovey-dovey is gone, and what's left is hardcore sex. That's not something that's good and wholesome. You get work done or whatever like that, and if you're productive about shit, yeah, great, whatever. But you look at the other things you let slide as you're doing that one specific task you're stuck on, and it doesn't balance out either. No, there's nothing good about it at all. Nothing at all. You might talk yourself into believing so, but other than the sheer physical act of being awake for durations of time that you normally wouldn't be awake for, it does nothing at all as far as positive. Nothing at all. At all.
There's something about crystal that rewires you, that makes you want to go to a really dark, twisted place. The big question was always, oh, do you party? Oh, you do? Okay. What do you do? Oh, Tina. Oh, really? How do you do it? How do you do it? Ask that question, gets me a hard on. Because the answer you're looking for is, well, sometimes, I slam it. Yeah. This twisted, sick characteristic of the drug, it is like being seduced, beckoned, led to the edge of a cliff, and somebody behind you saying, jump, jump, go, go, go. feels less wonderful down there, doesn't it? Just jump, just let the darkness fill you,
You've gone through the looking glass, and everything that was normal before becomes abnormal, and everything that was abnormal before becomes far too normal.
In my mind now can so easily just slide back in there. You can see my eyes light. I mean, you're soaking in it. You're soaking in this desire.
This open, unabashed embracing of self-destructive sexual behavior.
So I've lost about 20 pounds. I feel like I look pretty sickly. People that I use with don't. They don't care.
It was almost like the raw drive to actually have sex and just be nasty had like taken over. The more dangerous it was, the more fun.
There is no shock left. You've already had sex with thousands of guys while on drugs, while shooting up, while in huge groups. How much more is there? Well, let's see. There's violence. There's blood and guts. There's all sorts of dark places we can go. Come on along.
Dick, drugs, drugs, dick. Decked out in my leather regalia. Dick, drugs, drugs, dick.
And then when bad isn't good enough, let's be wicked. And when that's not good enough, let's just be downright evil. It twists you up. It twists you up. And I don't think that I am that person. But it's taken a while for me to crawl out in my head and screw it back on right.
Some men fuck for sport, others fuck for food or drugs. I was fucking for everything.
Got online, found this one guy that I had actually hooked up with before, like a year earlier. Anyway, when we got into doing our thing, he wanted to do some fantasy kind of role play type stuff. He would talk about crystal when we were doing it. He'd give the pipe to me and he'd say, okay, he'd like inhale it, and he'd say, can you feel that going in? It's evil. And this is the funny part. He would do this noise. He'd go, and I was like, I was pretty fucked up, but I was like, dude, you're tripping. Cause he's like, and then he would say, hail Satan, say it. And I'd be like, okay, hail Satan. And he'd be like, praise the Dark Lord. And I'm like, what? I wasn't really showing that much, disgust for it, but inside I was just like, this is ridiculous. Like what I'm doing to have some crystal.
The need for the crystal outweighed the need for the muscles or the food or the sleep. You go from being something that you thought was really great and had it together because those of us, had everything. We look good on paper, we look good on paper, and it just fell apart.
I used to perceive that everything was fine and that no one could tell I was high. I had just changed managing brokers. I was involved in a commission dispute with another agent. I had been ranked 5th or 6th out of an office of 90 the year before. And so I thought, well, I can just flex my power and my muscle and they'll never let me go. And, lo and behold, the guy, in probably one of his few brilliant moves as a managing broker, just said, you're too much trouble, you're out of here. And that just stymied me. I'm like, oh, me? You let me go?
I was using secretly more than he realized. And I just decided one day that he was, too square for me. You know, he didn't do drugs. And what I needed was a lover that did drugs. And so I broke up with him. And in a short amount of time, found him. The lover that did drugs. It was a chaotic 2-year relationship. And then there would be moments of clarity. You're just a drug addict. Well, you're an asshole. In other words, you know, being called a drug addict was being called an asshole. It was just a bad thing you said to somebody. It had no basis in truth.
I've walked out of fully furnished 3-bedroom apartments. I was driving a old Mercedes-Benz, nice Mercedes-Benz, but it was old, classic. And I drove it to the airport, and I left it there. And I got on a plane, and I flew to LA, and I never went back. I left the apartment and the car, and I stayed in LA for 2 years, loaded.
I've been evicted. My dealer friend's been evicted. And we're over visiting this friend of ours so we can, like, you know, have a place to crash that night, who's also being evicted. And rather than any of us having that moment of, how much shittier is this gonna get, man, before it, like, really fucking needs to stop.
This was a drug that I had never seen the likes of before. I was able to stop cocaine. I, you know, ran out of money. You know, I stopped doing it. I realized this is a bad thing. I probably do this too much. I should stop. You know, I got bored with ecstasy. K came and went. G sent me to the hospital. And then there was crystal. And I was not equipped to battle it, to stop it. It was something I hadn't seen, felt before. And I don't mean felt like a good, oh boy, that was great. It was, I was imprisoned. I was a slave to it.
Was it too out of control to work in a corporate job? Yeah. Was it too out of control to work in a nightclub? No. Was it too out of control to live in a bathhouse? No. Was it too out of control to eat Thanksgiving dinner with my parents? Yeah.
It kept me centered in the fact that I had been holding back on life way too much. I wasn't living it, I was just a spectator. This was my 15 minutes. I was the president of the incoming freshman class at Pig University. Pretty simple. Get high, get naked, get more.
When I wasn't working, then I was having sex. Bathhouse, bookstore, park, or on the computer. Marathon sex.
Be up for days, out of it, watching porn, jerking off.
Automatron, fucking run.
When was the last time you slept?
Little bits, and I'd be up, tweaking out, jittery. Pretty easy to hide. No one knew.
Sketchy.
It just slowly saturated. Drama, craziness, it just took over.
Doze off. Weird ass answer. Huh? James Gardner got a facelift. You know, he's cool. He's maintaining. Oh no.
Good drugs.
Pharmaceuticals.
My grandmother would be dead. My sister had a baby.
Illness in the family, death of a pet, a breakup, nothing mattered.
Lost a job. I gotta not think about this. My grandfather died. Took it in a bumper with me. Coping with the whole thing.
Loaded.
My boyfriend, I used him. Crystal.
Beliefs.
Zoned out.
Nothing mattered. Nothing.
The bathhouse, knowing I had gonorrhea.
Dealing hardens you real fast. Cynical, skeptical, non-trusting, cold, edgy.
Didn't allow myself to come down for months. Intense, emotional, slept a lot, eating a lot, junk food, cookies, Little Debbie's, cry, depressed, hated life. Nothing could help me.
Nobody's your friend anymore. Your best friend will steal from you.
Met him online, bought him, top him. He wanted me to come inside, so I did.
The phones and the traffic and things getting out of control. Try having sex with a hot trick when people are pounding on your door, you know, hey, can I get a quarter? Or something like that, you know? It just blows it. It ruins everything.
That was life on crystal.
I hear a lot of people talk about how, you know, though they've lost their careers and they're now sweeping up spooge in a bathhouse, or, you know, maybe taking occasional porn shots, or they've become full-time dealers, and they talk about how, you know, now that they're out of corporate world and their life is so much less stressful, how much happier they are. And to me, that's one of the greatest illusions of bullshit you feed yourself when you're an addict. You know, the entire world can be collapsing around you and you're suddenly like Karen fucking Hughes, denying that there's a problem. I now look at my addiction as Karl Rove, trying to pray to God I'm a swing voter, and is willing to lie to me and say to me whatever it's gonna take me to use. And that scares me.
As soon as darkness hit every evening, this panic took over. I thought I had become Adolf Hitler and that I had been responsible for the killing of 6 million Jews. And I set off poisonous gas to be released over my community and kill everybody in sight. And there was nothing you could tell me that would make me believe I wasn't him. And I was hiding out, pee in a bottle, cut all the circuits because the little LCD lighting on the stove, VCR, cable box was sending up messages to satellites, and it became unbearable. I actually at one point had somebody come over who I, in my head, thought was the devil, and I agreed to die 6 million times, once each night for the next 6 million nights, to make up for all the Jews that were killed in Germany.
I started sleeping in my car, and at first it was kind of scary, but then it became very norm to me. I had kept it from my boss that I didn't have a place to live. He didn't know. So he decided to help me out because he really thought that I was doing a good job. And that enabled me even more. I was able to spend all that money on crystal, and then I had a place to sit in my room by myself and just smoke all the crystal I wanted. And that's when the paranoia got really, really bad.
I never got totally paranoid like you know, aluminum foil over the window, somebody's watching me stuff. I've seen it. I've had somebody convinced that Britney Spears was in the room, and it was just us.
It was very real to me. And it really started feeling like everyone was in on it. Except for me, like I didn't know what was going on. I thought I had cameras following me around. I thought I was being broadcast over the internet or whatever as, you know, as entertainment for somebody. But I was completely offended, you know. Whether that was true or not, I mean, whether it was actually, you know, possible, in my mind it was true. I started hearing the voices in a very malicious tone. They hated me, and I just thought that they had keyed into me doing crystal, and so that they were gonna, you know, try to attack me and whatever. Chanting that they hated me, that they wanted me dead. They wouldn't let me sleep. I would be crying, begging to sleep. Constant torture. I was basically in my own prison, but they pretty much followed me everywhere I went.
I just isolated myself more and more. It was just me and crystal meth. That was it. I invited the addict in, and then it took over. I remember the day, standing there, filling a bowl with meth, getting ready to smoke it, and a voice came into my head and said, "You're gonna get addicted to this." And I said, "I don't care." And that's when I started using every day. So it went from, you know, euphoria to feeling anger and depression, and then just using day in and day out to the point where I felt nothing.
I can't do it. I can't do it. It's too much for me to handle, and I don't see it happening. I'm being realistic about it. Not that I'm quitting it and saying, giving up the whole idea of it being able to do so. No, it's not going to happen here. I can't see it. I'm not that strong of a person. I'm not. I don't think anybody is. I want to get out of here. Either I'm gonna get killed, or I'm gonna go to jail or prison, and everything's gonna blow up in my face, and I'm die there alone, or I'm gonna quit and get my life together. Most likely, of the three, is I'll probably wind up in prison again, you know, or I'll wind up dead. The me quitting thing in here, it's just not gonna happen.
It's just not that easy to get out of it. It's got a really tight grip, and until you want to get rid of it and get it out of your life, until you get to that point, it's gonna be there. It's altered my brain. It's a chemical, you know, it's changed the way I think about things. you can't just hope that that heals itself. So, personally, I can't do it on my own. I thought I could. It's too strong. It's wicked. As I told you, I was trying to take a proactive approach to rehab, trying to cut it off before it hit me again. That's what I was hoping for. Didn't quite work out that way. I found out I could go further. So I lost my job. I've been using since.
I came out to Palm Springs to get away from Crystal once more, you know. Of course, I landed on the tarmac at Palm Springs Airport with about 4 8-balls in my pocket. But I came out here to get away from Crystal after I'd done what I had on me.
I had been up for a few days. Something popped into my head, a voice or something. I was starting to itch, and I thought maybe I had lice. I didn't think that it was just in my head. I called my boss that morning and said, I can't come into work, I've got lice. I think I went through 3 different brands of lice shampoo. I sprayed all my furniture, I washed all of my clothes in hot water and ruined most of them. The entire time I was smoking crystal and high. And did never put the connection together. I thought I was seeing my head move. And then I thought they were nesting in my ears. I remember sitting in the emergency room, Cedars-Sinai in Beverly Hills, and one of the nurses turns and looks at me, and she kind of looked at the other nurse and she said, "Is that guy high?" And that was the first time that I really knew that I had gone too far with Crystal, that it was time to stop.
I didn't quit to get better. I didn't quit to avoid using. I just quit long enough to come up with another plan of how I could restructure my life so I could fit Crystal in there. I became homeless. Me. Ended up homeless. I was a fucking street person. I was a strung out, 127-pound street person in Palm Springs in the middle of summer, 115 degrees, sleeping in a park. HIV positive, no medicine. That's what happened. That was the bottom that finally did it for me. I couldn't take it anymore, you know.
It just wasn't fun anymore. I mean, I remember walking around the bar on New Year's Eve after I'd shot up and just said, okay, let's go out, and went out and walked around, and it was just like, this is not where I want to be. This is not what I want to do anymore. And when I hit that vein for the last time, I said, this is the last time I'm going to do drugs.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't want to quit because I enjoy all the fun and festivities it has to offer. This is a world that you take what mom and pop in the church tells us about sex, you can throw it out the window, and I like that world. I really do. And it's a hard world to leave. I don't regret it. I don't regret it. Deep down inside, I've got this little voice, and I think other people have it too, but you can't shut that little sucker up. You just can't shut them up no matter what you do, how many drugs you ingest, nothing. It's starting to raise some objection again. So do I want to quit? No, I don't, but I have to. I have to.
I think there's a lot of gay men walking around with a secret. I think that's the effect that that's got on our community. There's a lot of gay men walking around scared to death that somebody's going to find out that their whole life is a lie because they are spending their evenings high on Tina, and they've got a group of friends that they do it with that they're hoping other people don't find out, and meanwhile, it's taking bigger and bigger bites out of their life.
I've told people that I have a problem with Crystal, and then the next sentence they have to me is, I can get you some if you want it.
The last thing you want to be around when you're high is someone that's not high. and particularly wanted someone that's not high that used to get high.
Actually, I was diagnosed HIV positive in this very building in May of 2001 when I'd first moved to Houston. And about 6 months later, I started working here.
The bathhouse.
I developed the job a little bit myself, really learning about myself, learning about the community. Really, I specialize in talking to those that are using crystal meth. It is very difficult at first because it was like, this is my job, but yet this is my life as well. But I've gotten so much stronger through that. Once I got involved, it was like, wow. I learn more and more about myself every day, every day.
My recovery is pretty serious to me today. It's pretty much the most important thing in my life. I'm feeling more self-confident about myself every day. I still like to have sex all the time, but it's more special today, and it's more intimate. It's nice, it's special. Life's okay. I can't complain about anything today.
Funny enough, I met my current lover when I was high as a kite. We both thought that this maybe problem would just go away by itself. And unfortunately for me, I was way too far into it. I couldn't do it by myself. I started by going to an outpatient program to stop, and it was a 3-night-a-week thing. And I thought, well, this will be like a class. I just need to go to this little class and I'll be fine. So I go to this little class, and then as part of that, they say, well, you gotta go to a meeting every day. If there was anything more humiliating than not dancing on a box at circuit parties anymore, it was gonna be hanging around losers at AA meetings. Well, I've since learned, of course, that that's not true, and that if we all survive crystal meth, hopefully that's where we end up, and that is drawing community from one another and helping each other out with these problems, and it has saved my life.
I was petrified. Just the idea, is there even fucking a life without crystal? What do you do? I never did anything without it. Never, nothing.
If I could do it over again, I'd do the first part over again, but I'd hope that I could cut it off at a certain point. That's the problem, though, is that you can't. You kind of have to. I kind of had to go through all that stuff. I kind of had to get to a really, really bad point before I stopped.
The manorexia, as I describe my so-called sexual sabbatical, at times I still fantasize about being able to go back and do what I used to do.
You zoom in on your life, and you realize the life you built for yourself does not correspond with the life that feeds your spirit. And you have to start over. I had to start over.
I spent the first few months clean, just letting it dawn on me what I had, done in all the situations and all the danger I'd put myself in. Oh my God, the nuts that I've spent time with, the paranoid, delusional, armed nuts, and ending up so that I could be shooting up in a bathhouse and with the door open. Fuck me. That's memories like that just as you're trying to go to sleep, that jolts you up, that sort of thing. That's what I remember, are those just base sort of, no, that's not sexy. That's pathetic. Those are the things that just kind of...
I'm so grateful and so fucking happy that I'm alive right now. I can't get lazy about it, because this disease tells me that that I'm better now. I'm better now. You're better, Stefan. You're feeling good, you're better. Maybe you can just try a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. Give you a little extra energy. Lose a couple pounds. You'll be all right. So.
I was brutally, rawly honest with you on everything I wrote. I mean, amazingly, honestly. Okay, here's the tough part for me. I'm an educated, intelligent, sophisticated, funny, very attractive guy with the world at my disposal. So why is that I can't seem to get it? I've watched people around me die, watched their lives fall into pieces, watched them push away from all the people that they cared about until one day they woke up and realized that they were all alone. And I look back on it, it saddens me because I saw it coming for them. The really sad part is, I can't read this. The really sad part is that I'm just barely starting to see where I will wind up if I don't change and soon. I've given 10 years of my life up for this drug, 2.5 of which I spent in maximum security prison. I've lost my house, my cars, all of my friends, most of my family, my dog, my self-respect, my self-esteem, my pride. Pisses me off, makes me angry as hell. The guilt is so intense I can't tell you. I'm scared about quitting. I'm scared that I will lose what little I have left and die here all alone. I found out that I have hepatitis C, but by the grace of God, not HIV. I want to be happy. I want to have a mother to quit worrying about her son all the time. I want to be successful in whatever I choose to do in life. I want people to be proud of me for a change.
No, I don't see anything out of my experience with drug use that has made me a better person, that has been a gift. It makes me mad to hear that. It's like people say, well, HIV has been a gift to me because it's made me this and that. A Mercedes is a gift. HIV is a plague, and so is crystal meth. And I am a better guy now than I was when I was using, but I would like to think that I would have been a better guy 5 or 10 years ago and skipped the whole crystal meth thing altogether. So I refuse to allow crystal to have bettered me in any way. It didn't. It was all bad. It was all bad.
Fucking your pain away isn't gonna fix anything. There's a life afterwards.
Crystal is the last stop. For a drug user, this is the end of the road. And you either stop it or you die. I really believe that.
I believe the term casual meth user is going to become like the check is in the mail or I won't come in your mouth. It's just a really great lie that's being perpetuated by people that don't want to hold themselves up to any sort of acceptable standards of societal behavior. Regardless of your political affiliation, I think if you aren't scared at what's happened politically in this country, you better wake up, because if you don't think this is going to start to become a tool used to marginalize us even further, you're sorely mistaken. But until we can really start to work on the damaged self-esteem and the culture of irresponsibility, we're fucked.
I think that the topic is worth a lot of anger. I think it's worth a lot of anger and grief over what's happening and what we're doing to ourselves. And I don't blame anybody for being angry and kind of done with it, and done with the rationalizations, and done with, oh, boys will be boys, and done with, it's okay, it's just a phase. No, we need to be done with that. This is not our legacy to this generation of gay guys like AIDS was. Our legacy is what? Tweaked up drug addicts? Is that the best we can do?
It's taking people from the community. We can't just give into it. I'm gonna get into that residential program. And I don't know how long it'll take, but my intentions are to go through it until, as they say, graduate. my life begins again. So, in a sense, I hopefully will be at a clean slate. A clean slate who's HIV positive. There's lots of opportunities out there. Right now I'm not sure what they are, but I'm gonna figure them out.
Maybe now that I've gotten a year, I'll get more ambitious again and start creeping my way back into, society. And now I have to learn how to talk to men I don't want to fuck, and learn what it means to be a friend. Just, all this stuff, it seems pretty basic. Well, I didn't know. I was too busy, doing drugs, and now I got to figure all that out. I'm excited about, I'm just excited about being a regular guy. I don't need to, I'll just be a regular guy.